podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
It was special. It was recorded in my car in a car park in Birmingham.
Oh, quality.
Yeah, it was good.
You've got a recording studio in your car?
Well, I did have for that day because Neil works in radio and he brought a recording studio with him. It's only a little one, but remarkably effective. I was very happy to be a guest on that show, but we'll talk about that later. I guess we should talk about the football first.
We're talking about you hanging around in car parks.
Yeah, it was great.
Very good. Maybe there's a new Netflix series in it for you. You know. You might not be Seinfeld, but
yeah,
podcasters in cars talking about podcasts.
So a long time ago, Jack McEnroy, host of the dearly beloved and much missed South London Hardcore podcast, suggested podcasters on bicycles drinking lilt as an alternative. But unfortunately, lilt is not vegetarian, so I would not have been able to partake.
Lilt is not vegetarian. What have they got in there? Some dead cow?
Yeah, I mean, this is information from a very long time. Does lilt even... I'm not 100% confident that lilt even exists anymore. I've not seen a can or an advert for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a good
but
drink.
I'm shocked how a can of fizzy pop can not be vegetarian.
You'd be amazed.
I am. Shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
Were you shocked that we extended our stay at the W Hotel to 7 nights?
No, because as we predicted on last week's show, we smashed them, or something like that. It was
well, for the first half, we did.
Squeaky bum time in the end, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I've seen an awful lot of criticism about the performance, and we barely gave up a chance. We gave up one chance, basically, of any significant merit. So it was very nerve-wracking by the end of the game. And definitely, like, the atmosphere in the stadium was really... The change that came over the atmosphere of the stadium when Brighton scored was palpable. But you know, it was all right, wasn't it? I mean, we smashed them in the first half. And also... For the first 15 minutes of the second half, we kind of carved open a load of chances too.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't want to sound too negative about this because I thought United were very good in the first half. Created an awful lot of chances, like more than 20 chances in the game anyway. The problem was converting those chances into actual shots on target. There weren't very many for a very long period of that game and not very many in total. And the fact that in the second half, United weren't able to control midfield in quite the way that had been the case in the first half, and Brighton came into the game more and more. Now, of course, they were playing in front of United and really didn't create any chances of note themselves, as you say, except for that one, and even that wasn't a great chance. But it was just the fact that United didn't dominate in the way that they did in the first half, and Brighton came more and more into it. But as we noted on last week's thorough and in-depth preview. Yeah, they're a good side, Brighton. They've got some good players. They're not going to get relegated this season. They have trouble scoring goals, and you can kind of see why. They just don't create enough. But this was following a pretty nervy last half an hour against Tottenham. This seemed to fall into a pattern. Although I don't know whether 2 games is a pattern when the real pattern, of course, is www.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sorry to get nerdy this early in the show and start talking about data, but like the XG shows a very dominant tail for United at 2.56 to 0.61 XG in terms of chances created. Now that's 2.56 including the penalty, but still means even excluding the penalty, we're pushing like
1.8-ish.
So it was a game of substantial chances created. I mean, the 2 big chances that didn't end up being a goal were the Lingard one from the Rashford cross, which watching it live, I thought that Lingard was like at full stretch and it was really understandable that he'd missed it. But when I watched it on the highlights, It's a bit of a bad miss from Jesse, really, isn't it?
I guess so. I mean, Rashford absolutely leathered that cross in. I mean,
Yeah.
on second viewing, you can see it's a cross, but on first time, it looks like he's having a shot, and he seemed to feel like shooting from absolutely everywhere. Rashford did. But look, anyway, let's talk about the good part of Marcus Rashford, because he scored an absolute blinder to follow up on Paul Pogba's penalty.
I mean, I know this. I'm definitely going to be so like, oh, I was at the game about this game just because I'm so excited because I haven't been to a game all season. But I was in tier 2 of the Stretford End, and that goal was scored at the Stretford End. Just like looking basically straight down on that goal, and it was hard to process what had happened because it didn't look possible that from where he was, the ball could have ended up in the net where it ended up in the net. Then you watch it on TV, filmed from directly behind him, and it still barely looks possible.
No, that's right. I mean, not only has he got a huge amount of whip on the ball to bend it around those two defenders, and you don't see from the normal camera angle, you don't really see how little space there was. Well, because there was none. But from, as you say, from behind the shooter, you see he's had to bend it, but at extreme pace as well. I mean, we're really seeing Marcus Rashford grow into himself now, aren't we? He's at talking about XG and data. He's at a sort of about 0.56 over the last, under Ole Solskjaer, which is quite a lot higher than under Jose Mourinho, and I think he can go further than that. He's still learning the game. He's still getting better as a player. So 0.56 amount of games he plays, that's 25 goals a season. He can become a 30 goal a season striker, of course. He has to take this form now and transpose it over to a whole season, but why not?
I think that can definitely happen. I mean, so 14 games under, and 6 games under Solskjaer so far this season, 3 goals under Mourinho, 5 under Solskjaer. But the key stat, I mean, you mentioned the XG, but the key stat is, which is no doubt responsible for the uptick in XG, 1.9 shots per game to 4.8 shots per game.
Right.
And that's an absolutely dramatic turnaround in style of play. Now, of course, a lot of that is because he's playing centrally now. But the team as a whole, I haven't looked at the data, but if the team isn't taking vastly more shots now, then I'll be very, very surprised, because it certainly feels like they're taking an awful lot more shots.
It does, and there aren't too many games where Jose Mourinho's United took 20 shots or so, are there? So, it is because he's playing centrally, of course, but it's also, I think, under direction from Ole, who wants him to take shots, also wants him to stay relaxed while he's taking those shots. Pass it, don't blast it.
The funny thing is that this is not an original thought. I can't remember where I saw this, but actually that goal that's not the new Rashford, is it? That goal was pure instinct, wasn't it? Because if you kind of process it cerebrally, you decide to do something other than shoot when you've got literally the size of a ball hit at a perfect trajectory to aim at.
Yeah, true. And I think in different circumstances he might have passed that inside or tried to get to the byline or something like that, but he's super confident. That's why he was taking quite a lot of shots at the weekend.
We were 1-0 up by that point, thanks to Paul Pogba, who both won and dispatched a penalty. And Ashley Young with a brilliant tweet of him and Marcus Rashford looking worried, saying, when you see him taking that run up.
Yeah, I know. But it works for him.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And a lovely penalty. Before the game, of course, there was a moment of remembrance for Sir Matt Busby, who the anniversary of his death, I believe, was the 20th of January, which was the day after the game, which was actually quite moving, I thought. And there was it was interesting how it was noted, because the club, of course, kind of arranged for a minute of applause, and there was a big banner on the front of the stadium which said "Forever Grateful." And I was thinking about that quite a lot, because I was thinking about how rarely we've ever talked about him on this show, which obviously makes sense because we're covering United from week to week. But, none of this happens without Matt Busby, right? He's absolutely integral to the story of Manchester United, and it was nice to see it honoured. And one of the things that was noticeable was any chant with Matt Busby's name in it, which is quite a lot, was given an airing in the sort of first 10 minutes of that game. And I found it all rather moving and appropriate, basically.
Yeah, I thought it was a lovely moment. And I remember when he died 25 years ago. This is making me feel old now. I obviously don't remember him as a manager because I'm not that old. But it was a lovely moment at Old Trafford 25 years ago, as I seem to remember. And I thought it was perfectly sort of timed and held moment of appreciation for Sir Matt. And a very good performance from United in that first half to appreciate him too.
Yeah, the football taught by Matt Busby on ample display, no longer feeling ironic.
No, that's right. That's right. And in that first half, I'm beautifully rounded off by Rashford. United were playing that kind of attacking, free-flowing, chance-creating football that we've come to mostly know under Ole and really want and appreciate. And it felt like we were going to get the kind of result that we both had predicted last week. Not quite 4-0 FC. But that second half, where do you think the drop off came from then in that second half? Because it wasn't the same performance by any means.
I just wanted to very briefly mention one last thing about the first half, which was just the Lindelof ball for Martial, for that shot that we put Martial through 1-on-1, and whoever the Brighton goalie is, I've got it here, David Button. Well, there you go. You could have given me 1,000 guesses at that and I wouldn't have got it right. He outstretched his hand and did really well to kind of limit the space that Martial could fire into. But it was a lovely chance and brilliant movement from Martial and a wonderful ball from Victor Lindelof. So the person that I was with, massive shout out to Glyn. Thank you for sorting me out with the ticket. That was much appreciated, and he was very good company as well, which was good. And he just noted that the intensity had massively dropped off in the kind of lead up to the goal in that kind of second half period, and almost United were sort of cruising a little bit too much, like they were almost a bit too certain of the result at 2-0 up, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. Actually, Ollie talks about complacency in the lead up to the game, didn't he? As I seem to recall, and I think that's an important point. These players, it's not a lot of times in the last few years that these players have, as a group, have been intense all the way through.
No.
Yeah, very, very few games where you can think about that. And United are going to have to find that. Probably going to have to find it against Arsenal at the Emirates on Friday, because maybe this is a rejuvenated Arsenal side, having beaten Chelsea at the weekend. Uh-huh. Maybe not just the pushovers we expect them to be. Lads, it's the Gooners. We'll come on to that one. And certainly going to have to find it against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, which is coming up really, really soon.
I guess the only games that really we had it against Bournemouth and Huddersfield at the beginning of... No, not Bournemouth and Huddersfield. Huddersfield and Cardiff, those first couple of games, especially that Cardiff performance. But that was a very unique circumstance in a way, and you can't read too much into that game. It was definitely missing, and I actually thought that Solskjaer's substitutions were not great, and they definitely sort of further... Because when you take Lingard off for Mata, I'm pretty sure it was Lingard for Mata, the first substitution, and then Martial for Lukaku, which I thought was also a bit weird because I thought Martial was really growing into the game, and actually I sort of feel like he kind of needs a goal, so keeping him on would have been good. But I guess Solskjaer and maybe the whole team had Arsenal in mind a little bit, and that was maybe part of the reason they were trying to conserve a bit of energy. But I thought both of those substitutions took the sting out of us a bit, and when you bring Mata on, he's such a different player from Jesse Lingard, and the whole shape of the team changes really dramatically when you bring Juan Mata on, because there's just, you just lose so much in physicality, and of course you gain guile and ability on the ball, but that didn't feel like that was what was really needed at that moment in the game.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, United set up in a different way than the previous game against Tottenham. This wasn't the two up front with Lingard sort of as the false nine behind them, ahead of them, in between them. This was much more of a sort of straight 4-3-3. And Lingard did a lot of running. I don't think he was particularly effective, though. I mean, he's not really created any chances in the game. So I could understand the change just to bring something new into the game. And the other thing is that you'd expect Mata to perhaps put his foot on the ball and slow the game down a little bit. And at that point in the game, Brighton were coming into it. So I can kind of understand the thinking. It didn't really work out, did it? Because I don't think Mata really contributed anything more than Lingard did.
Does he do that, though? Does Mata come off the bench, put his foot on the ball and slow the game down? Is that something we've seen?
No, two separate things. Two separate things there. He does provide control with the ball, no doubt. And he will slow the game down. I'm not saying that the...
Oh, I see. So you're not saying put his foot on the ball to slow the game down. Okay, right.
I'm not saying United wanted to slow the game down. There's a consequence of Mata coming on. But what they did want was more control. Perhaps what should have happened is that Mata should have gone into the centre just to provide just a few more bodies in the middle. But look, that said, it's not like, as we've already mentioned, it's not like United are under loads of pressure. It's just that Brighton had come into the game to make it more of an even contest.
And also, like Romelu Lukaku, this is going to be fascinating to see what happens next. Because to me, that football is a zero-sum game, isn't it, when you're talking about a squad? And when Marcus Rashford is on absolute fire at centre-forward, you're kind of automatically relegating Romelu Lukaku to being United's second-choice centre-forward, and he's just not going to want to do that, is he?
Well, he's not, and he only got 5 minutes at the weekend.
Was it only 5 minutes? It felt like much longer, I have to say. Talk about nervousness. Definitely felt like longer, that did. But, De Gea hardly had a save to make in this game. And there was one point where we sat so deep and you could just see Victor Lindelof furious at everyone, shouting at him to push out and kind of like almost literally shouting, "Look, he's gone, lads. You can push out now. We don't have to sit here when we're holding on to a 1-goal lead."
No, true. And of course, one thing we didn't mention already was the fact that United's shape was already disrupted in the warm-up with Luke Shaw coming down with an illness. I actually haven't read up any more on this. Was there any more explanation about why he was suddenly taken ill?
No, I've got no idea what happened. But I did think Diogo Dalot played very well, actually. And if I were in charge, I would be perhaps minded to give him a bit of a run there, because I'm not sure he isn't considerably better in the final third than Shaw is. I mean, Shaw's obviously experienced. I've got a bit of a little bit of a Luke Shaw.
You have got an agenda. I don't think that's fair. Did Dalot put a single ball in? I mean, he's cutting inside all the time. I know he's comfortable-ish on both feet, but he doesn't provide the same out that he does when coming from the right.
I guess not, but I don't know. I thought our shape was quite nice for a lot of that game with him there. I don't know. Again, this might be agenda. Talking of which, I have no idea whether Nemanja Matic played well or not in that game. Talking of agendas that must continue. But Ander Herrera did put in a really lovely tackle right late on when United were under loads of pressure, and Paul Pogba just gave him a little ovation. Just gave him a full-on round of applause for the tackle that he put in late, which was very enjoyable. As was the general atmosphere. I mean, obviously it got nervous in the second half, but the atmosphere in the first half was absolutely tremendous. It was tremendously buzzy and a kind of real, genuine enthusiasm and excitement to be watching this team play football again, which was really nice.
Very good. Very good. I mean, it is really nice to see United playing good football, scoring goals, winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Pogba can keep doing that run-up as long as he likes, as far as I'm concerned.
Just a quick note on Diogo Dalot.
Yeah.
No crosses, no chances created. Oh, no, sorry, I lie. 1 chance created. No crosses. Got an assist. Which one was the assist? The ball inside for Rashford. That's not counting.
Yes, it does. Of course it does. They all count. By the way, the chance he created was for a 0.03 shot from about 25 yards, 0.03 XG shot from 25 yards for Paul Pogba. So
Naught out of one take-on successful. So yeah, look, okay, he's a good player, and I've got a lot of hope for Dalot. I think that's or Dalot, not sure.
Dalot.
Still not sure. I have a lot more hope for him playing at right back than left back.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
So you can stuff your agenda.
Good. I don't like having this agenda, by the way. I want this agenda to end. I want to be convinced. But yeah. Talking of agendas, just very briefly, Jose Mourinho said a load of stuff. Almost all of it was absolute gibberish.
Well, it was, I mean, this is his lengthy spell on beIN Sports, which was, he was supposed to be commentating on the game, but they just cancelled the game and just had Jose Mourinho being interviewed the whole time, which was really weird. And it was just narcissistic, self-absorbed nonsense with a total lack of self-awareness.
There's a brilliant bit where he's making this point, which a load of people would have been like nodding along with, where he's sort of talking about how modern clubs need a structure. Like, first of all, are you telling me that you'd have been happy if they'd put a director of football in above you?
He fought tooth and nail and almost quit the club because they tried to do it at Real Madrid. So, no, he wouldn't have been.
And then, secondly, like, as you're nodding along going, yeah, this all makes sense, United do need a bit of structure, you realise that what the point that he's actually making is that it's impossible for the manager to have good relationships with the players if that structure doesn't exist. And then you're like, wow. Wow. No, all right, pal. All right.
So taken in isolation, if he was going to make an argument that United should probably modernise, still got the same system as the club had when Ferguson was in charge, just with a less effective performer as CEO/director of football in Ed Woodward than David Gill, and a much less effective manager in Mourinho rather than Sir Alex Ferguson, then I'd buy it. I'd go, yeah, you know what? We need to move the burden around. We need an expert in working the European transfer market. We need a long-term vision for the club that runs throughout all the age group sides, and that is a director of football or a technical director who can help provide that continuity between managers. But he wasn't making that point at all. He wasn't. He was trying to make excuses. It's Mourinho all over. He still cannot accept that he got anything wrong. And what's going to happen now is some other stupid big club, because he won't go to a small one because his ego wouldn't allow that to happen, or at least a small club with a lot of money, I suppose, will take another chance on him. And exactly the same thing will happen. He'll win a couple of trophies. Maybe it will be a big trophy, depending on the club and their situation. And then he'll execute slash and burn. And he doesn't care what state he leaves the club in afterwards. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Jose Mourinho. It was total bollocks he was talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so nice not to have to deal with his nonsense every week. So nice.
My favourite piece on all that, just to underline it, is Danny Taylor's in The Guardian.
Right. And the only reason I mention it is just because it's his first big post-United interview. So, the most recent United manager, apart from the good one, has given a big, long interview about his time at the club. So I should probably at least briefly mention that it happened. Another thing that has happened that Jose Mourinho would have done, no doubt, is Scott McTominay's got a new contract. And cue much wailing and gnashing of teeth from a lot of people who, don't really rate McTominay. And I have to say, I'm not sure I really rate McTominay, but I do rate his mental strength. And I do think that his is the kind of position that, we saw this with Darren Fletcher. This is a bit like being a centre-back, isn't it? You can expect to peak a bit later.
Perhaps, he's got a lot to learn. McCrabenay, we should call him, because he just goes sideways all the time. Anyway, I'm struggling to love McTominay, but it makes a lot of sense from a lot of points of view. Maybe he'll come good, and if he does, you want him on a contract. Maybe he needs to go out on loan so he actually gets some actual game time, although we're quite thin in midfield, and Ole kind of rubbished the idea of that. And at a minimum, it's asset protection. So there's no value in the asset if he has no time on his contract.
And then the other thing that I thought was probably worth bearing in mind is we've given an awful lot of players an awful lot of slack because they've only been because they were being managed by Jose Mourinho. So it might be interesting to see what McTominay's like under a proper manager.
Manager's Player of the Year.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't get better than that.
Managers passive-aggressive point scoring of the year.
I wonder if Ole's passively aggressively point scoring. Not only does he bring McTominay on for Pogba, and now gives him a new contract.
Yeah, possibly so. And in much bigger news, the rumours doing the rounds, thanks to, I believe, quotes from his agent, that Anthony Martial is almost agreed on a 5-year deal at Man United, which would be absolutely fantastic news.
It really would. Although I assume there's probably still some cultists out there that think we should sell him.
I mean, they're not even worth giving any attention to whatsoever, are they? They're like people that don't believe in climate change or whatever. You know, just stupid. You can't deny science. Anthony Martial is amazing. It's just science.
All right. I'm not sure he could hold back the melting of the ice caps, but he can certainly score some bloody great goals.
I just want to say, I did not in any way intimate or mean to imply, if anyone inferred from what I said, that Anthony Martial is somehow directly connected to climate change in any way. I want to say he's absolutely not.
Very good. Very good.
Because it's not man-made. No, come on.
It's a Chinese hoax.
Yeah, absolutely. So good win. Big game at the weekend. But before we get to your questions and some sort of somewhat taken seriously preview of the big game at the weekend, as I mentioned earlier, in a car park in Birmingham City Centre, I had the opportunity to hang out for a couple of hours with Neil Brennan. Now, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I certainly meant to every week. His fantastic podcast, Roy Keane Versus, is not like other football podcasts. It's not a breakdown of week-to-week events or anything like that. The first season, I believe, was 6 episodes, and he spoke to different people about different facets of Roy Keane's career, all bracketed in the idea of Roy Keane versus this, that, or the other. So Roy Keane versus the Irish national team, these kinds of things. Brilliant. 6 brilliant episodes. Friend of the show, Darren Richman, on one of them. It's very enjoyable listen. Roy Keane versus Alfinger Haaland was, of course, one of the episodes. Anyway, there's so much Roy Keane content that Neil Brennan has done a second series of this, and I was delighted to be on the episode, which I think might be the first episode. It's about to drop as we record this, which was Roy Keane versus Sir Alex Ferguson. And after we'd spent 2 hours talking about that, I had a little chat with Neil about his podcast for the benefit of you, the good listeners to the Rantcast, and you can hear that now. Neil, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's honestly, you guys make one of my favourite podcasts, and through some of the darkest times of my United fandom, you guys have been there to make me feel even worse, so thank you.
It's a pleasure. You're absolutely welcome.
That one's especially going out to Ed. Thanks, Ed. You've cheered me up too when it's been dark times.
Yeah, we've just recorded my appearance, which I'm super excited to have made, on your excellent podcast, Roy Keane Versus. So everyone that listens to this show should definitely go back and listen to the whole of season 1 and now get super excited for the season 2 coming out of Roy Keane Versus. Could you tell me a little bit about what the podcast is and what your kind of initial impetus to make it was?
Yeah, totally. It's funny, there wasn't going to be a season 2 until the problem with Keane, and the problem with, I guess most of the listeners will know, the problem with any of those great United heroes is once you start talking, it's very hard to stop. How do you do a season of episodes about Roy Keane, which are each about like 40 odd minutes, and feel like you haven't scratched the surface of some of the key moments? Like, I kind of realised I haven't even talked about Keano at Forest. Like, what was it at Forest that made United sit bolt upright and pay a British transfer record for? What was it about this young guy who was smaller than everyone else on his football team and made it to the very top? All of those things have fascinated me, and obviously, as you can tell from the accent, I'm Irish. And so it was a sense of, like, to have somebody Irish who conquered the world, who was legitimately one of the best in the world, it sort of has always been a curiosity to me. How did he get there? What paths did he take to get there? What paths did he cross to get there? With Keano is obviously the case. And it just became this case of there's so much here to talk about with Roy Keane. And so much that it's not just about I think for me, the podcast is not just about what goals did Roy Keane score, what yellow cards did he pick up. It's about the emotions that he inspires in people. It's about, like, why do some people hate Roy Keane? Why do some people love Roy Keane? Why do I think he's a hero and yet know he's a deeply flawed man? Why, when he walked out on my country at the World Cup, did I think, yeah, good enough for you, Roy? You show them. You show them because you know better than everyone else. Why does he mean so much to my dad? Why does he mean so much to me? With Keano and with some of the people he interacted with, Ferguson and Cantona, once you scratch the surface, there's just so much more to talk about. So I just thought, let's try and at least record some of this so it isn't just hot air wasted on a Sunday in the pub, you know?
So he's your favourite player of all time, right?
Yeah, he is. And it's funny, a lot of that's only in retrospect. When I started following United, it was Cantona all the way. It was the class of 92 when I was kind of, when I was wearing my sarong. No, I never wore a sarong. It was the class of 92 for like the peak era of my kind of teenage fandom. And obviously I loved him the whole time and I knew how good of a player he was. And it was only in retrospect and only after walking out on Ireland at the World Cup that you start to really put the pieces together and go, as a personality, this guy is way more interesting than a lot of these other players. This guy has a lot more to talk about than a Nicky Butt. As much as I love Nicky Butt, there's just so much of Keane that we'll never know the answer to. And maybe that's the thing. The mystery of Roy Keane, the enigma of Roy Keane is something that just, like, honestly keeps me up at night. And I think on my, like, second date, I was talking to my now wife about how much I love Roy Keane. And it's like, I sort of wonder, was that an acid test? Was I trying to see, like, what she would say in response? And now she knows that, like, when I put on the tunnel video in Highbury and see him having a go at Patrick Vieira, it's because I just need a bit of cheering up. And that's what I do. I don't talk to her about how I'm feeling. I watch a Roy Keane video on YouTube.
So the structure of the podcast is Roy Keane versus and then various different subjects. And obviously being, like, the nature of Keane, things kind of go a bit freewheeling from time to time.
Yes.
But how did you go about selecting the things that you were going to do Roy Keane versus?
Initially, it was just Roy Keane. I think my initial thought was Roy Keane versus the world because it just summed up his mentality. And now that he's not an active player, and now that younger United fans are kind of getting to grips with this legend that they've heard so much about, and, there's YouTube videos made by kids who I'm sure never saw a Roy Keane game in their lives. And I wanted to kind of figure that out. And it seemed like the simplest way to do that was to, people are often defined by what they're in opposition to. So, we've chatted about Roy Keane and Alex Ferguson, say, and as much as they were drawn together by kind of, universal, by the hand of God and by the connection that they forged, by the similarities in their personality, really you start to get the truth of the two men by when they fell out and what that reveals about them. And so it was that, and it was the Alfie and Gahalan. And just the more I said to people, what do you think about when you think about Roy Keane? It was always in what he was opposition to. It was always what he was fighting against, whether for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. Whenever I said to people, sum up Roy Keane, it was about the battles he fought. It was very rarely about those happy achievements. It was very rarely about the successes on the pitch. It was about defining him by what he stood up against, again, for good or bad.
So having probably talked more into a microphone about Roy Keane than any other human on the planet.
Except Alex Ferguson.
Except Alex Ferguson. What have you learnt about both Roy Keane and your feelings about Roy Keane from doing it?
I think I've learned that... what I've learned about Roy Keane is that the responses he evokes in people are never predictable. I think what I've learned about Roy Keane from doing the podcast is that you can never predict what people's responses to Roy Keane will be. I have sat down with people and I have thought, I know exactly what they think about Roy Keane. And within seconds of me putting forward that opinion, they're shaking their heads as if I've upset their family at Christmas. I've insulted their mother-in-law's turkey. And they're saying, no, how could you think that I would have that opinion about Roy Keane? And that goes for United fans, it goes for Ireland fans, it goes for Arsenal fans. Roy Keane, you can just never predict the response he will bring out in people. And I think that's what I've learned, is that my version of events, my version of Roy Keane, is no one else's version. And Paul, your version of Roy Keane is not Ed's version, and Ed's version is not yours. And I guarantee it's not most of the listeners. Everyone sees that guy differently. He's a Rorschach test. He's a Roy-Shack test. He is his own version of himself, and we are just reflecting off it. We are just seeing something in him. And that's probably why he was my hero. And what I've learned about myself from doing it is, honestly, genuinely, and I don't want to get too emotional here, is to shake off some of those preconceived notions I have, not just about Roy, but about other people. I think I've formed opinions about people and locked that in and said, that is who that person is. And if you can hold up your hero to the light and go, he's not who I thought he was at all, he's more complex and more rewarding, then you can learn to do that with, the guy, the cyclist who tries to cut across you in traffic, or the teacher who you thought was the best teacher ever. You can just start to be a bit more human and to go, do you know what? It is more complex than that. When we talked about Keane and Ferguson's relationship and how when it became bad, when it became nasty, both of them, it seemed, were able to just completely disregard all the good stuff that had gone before. And I think doing the podcast has taught me that, no, you can't just chastise Keane and Ferguson for that. We've got to be better than that ourselves. I sound like a cult leader now, the cult of Roy. We've got to just see past those kind of, they broke the mold when they made Roy Keane. They break the mold when they make everybody, and you've got to be open to seeing that.
All right. So, top 3 Roy Keane Man United moments.
Oh, Christ, this is the problem. They're all going to be the bad ones. They're all going to be him fighting people. Okay, number 1, with a bullet, undeniably, is the tunnel.
Okay.
That, to me, as a young kid who was short for his size, the whole thing of finding out that he said to Vieira, pick on someone your own size, as he looked up 6 inches into Vieira's eyes, is so inspiring. It's just badass. I'm sorry, I know I sound like I'm reviewing an Arnie action movie, but what a dude to just have the gumption to say to Vieira, pick on someone your own size. And Gary Neville's probably, I think he's taller than Roy Keane, and Roy Keane didn't care. In the tunnel, it all being caught on camera, I just think it's a perfect encapsulation, and obviously it's from the defining rivalry of my United fandom anyway. Number 2, Roy Keane moment. Do you know what I love about Roy Keane is when he first signed for United, and he's still a young man, it's the terrible publicity photos that he posed for, right? There's one where I think they're announcing an Old Trafford extension, and it's Roy Keane in a builder's hat with a shovel over. And it's just a bygone era of not only like footballers doing naff stuff, but Roy Keane doing naff stuff. Can you imagine Roy Keane posing for that photo anywhere from like 98 onwards? He would have hit you over the head with the shovel. And then I'd say my final favourite Roy Keane at United moment. Oh, wow. I mean, look, let's not bury the lead. Juventus, a captain's goal. I mean, there's a reason it's etched into every United fan's memories. I think I've attached more lore to that moment. I mean, I think I watched it with my friends, but in my head, if you ask me, I'd say I watched it with my dad, and I was wearing my first ever United kit, and it still fit. And I tell you, the tears are welling in my eyes. And I don't know if any of that's true anymore, but I do know that when that goal went in, I just thought, this player is Manchester United. In a way I don't think I've felt about anybody since then. No, I don't think anyone else has made me feel a connection to the team that I follow. As a United fan from Ireland, you worry about am I going to enough games? Am I a day tripper? Am I a prawn sandwich fan? I live in London now and I follow United. That's dreadful. As I order an overpriced pint and a cheese toastie for 12 quid in a East London brewery pub. What the hell am I? But I still hold on to that memory and that connection, that moment, that Roy Keane captain's goal. And that will always be there for me, that connection to that team. And that will always be why that team is my team.
Magic. So where can the people listen? Where can the people find you? What should they do? We're
on all the podcast platforms, I think, probably. Just look for us. Roy Keane versus, versus, not VS, because that became a thing with some American fans of United. Have a look for us. We're on Twitter as well, where I'll post all the links to the episode updates. And I guess, I'm sort of recording season 2 now. Is there a season 3 in the works? Potentially. So get in touch, listen to the podcast, see what you think I haven't done enough of. God knows I thought I'd done it all, but with Roy, you just never know. Maybe there is more. In fact, there definitely is more. So let me know what you like or didn't like, and also let me know, am I right to think that Roy Keane is the greatest United player of all time?
I mean, no. You're not, but listen.
I'm going to hold on to it.
It's okay, it's fine.
But it's a debate I'm happy to have, so please annoy me on Twitter.
It's absolutely fine to not recognise that it's Eric Cantona.
It can't be Cantona. The only thing I'd say about Cantona is, as much as I love Cantona, is Keane's longevity trumps the instant impact of Cantona.
I mean, Cantona was there for 5 years, which is not an insubstantial period of time.
True, that's true.
And all of them were at a peak, apart from the 9 months he missed.
Yeah, but they were the peak for me. I went to school the next day with my United kit on under my school shirt.
Yeah.
Because I've never been more like, cocksure that United were the team.
Yeah.
Then when Cantona did that, like, oh my God. But yeah, this is the problem. This is the problem with Roy Keane and Eric Cantona. We could sit here in this car and debate this one for the next 5 years and still not have a definitive answer.
No. Also, unfortunately, the answer's probably neither of them. It's
Yeah, I
probably
know.
like George
Yeah,
Best or whatever.
it's definitely Bobby Charlton, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly.
But if Bobby Charlton was sat here, I'd still argue with him that it was Roy Keane.
All right, well, you should definitely listen to Neil arguing with people that it's Roy Keane, because it's extremely entertaining.
And please, I want everyone especially to listen to the Arsenal episode, because I had a brave Arsenal fan volunteer to make the case that Vieira was better.
So, spoiler warning, like every episode, Neil asks the person listening whether it's Keane or Vieira. And even though it was an Arsenal fan, I was genuinely surprised when they picked Vieira, because what are you doing? Like, how... Anyway, we've just had this conversation.
Well, you've got to have a listen to it to find out why they made the case. I mean, they tried to make a case.
Yeah, they made their incorrect case.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Neil.
Thank you, Paul.
Very good. What he really needs to do, of course, is an episode on Roy Keane versus himself, and I think you'd be an ideal guest on that one.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite an important one. So there's two questions that he asks at the end of every episode, and the first one of those is Vieira or Keane. Well, obviously, that's not a real question, because I presume you would go with the correct answer to that.
I mean, just another of these false equivalences that we see in modern society.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other one would be he's so obsessed with Roy Keane, and he finds Roy Keane so fascinating that he's done now 2 seasons of a podcast about Keano. Who, other than Roy Keane, could you, in the world of football, could you see yourself dedicating that much time to if you were to do a podcast about an individual player?
Eric.
Yeah, that was my answer too, and just about that quickly as well.
There's no doubt. There's 5 seasons worth.
Mm. I'm rereading...
And not just HBO 12 episode 5 seasons. Like the network TV, 23 episodes.
I'm rereading Philippe Auclair's book, and it's slightly painful reading just because... Whew, man, that book is written. That is some writing with a capital W in that book. But the content is once again fascinating. Everyone loves that book. I find it a little bit hard going because it's so florid and there's a lot of Latin thrown in. But anyway.
Yeah. Smug, is it?
I mean, listen, you said it. You said that. That's the word choice that you used.
It was merely a question.
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah, this laugh may be a laugh of recognition. Anyway, we're probably in no position to talk about that. But it's worth a read if you haven't read The Rebel Who Would Be King. I mean, listen, the title tells you everything you need to know about what to expect stylistically from the book, but it's definitely the best book anyone's written about Eric Cantona.
All right. Well, great interview. And shall we move on to some listener questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here's one for you. Barry Jones, BJ Receiver 1. Honestly, with a Twitter handle like that, I very much doubt you are. But anyway...
He gave us tickets to the Newcastle game we went to together. Do you remember when you were drinking at 8 a.m.
He definitely is.
Platz?
Ladies' man. What a nice guy Barry is.
Yeah.
Sorry. One from last week, he says, biggest game in Poch's career, and again he bottled it, didn't he? Discuss. Well, actually, Spurs nearly bottled it against Fulham at the weekend. I mean, this is a bad Fulham side that is definitely going down, and it took a piece of good fortune to win it right at the end.
Honestly, I was so gutted because what a weekend of results it would have been. I mean, we haven't really talked about this, but the fact that Chelsea lost to Arsenal is absolutely brilliant news for United, because we're now within touching. Is it 3 points? No, is it 4?
It's 3 to Chelsea and 7 to Tottenham.
Yeah, so it would have been 3 points to Chelsea and 5
No, we're
points.
chasing third now. I mean, look, we could get ahead of ourselves, of course. It is only 7 games, and there are tougher games to come. We've got City and Liverpool and Chelsea and Arsenal and whatever to come. Maybe not Chelsea.
I think we've played Chelsea twice, but I can't remember that.
Chelsea and Spurs. I don't remember. Maybe we haven't played Chelsea twice. Have we played them at Old Trafford?
I have no memory of any of this season, basically. I could tell you almost nothing about what's happened this season.
All right. Yeah. Let's wonder why. Are you back on it, Paul? Have you you fallen off the wagon?
No, it's just Jose Mourinho sucked all the joy out of my soul. So it's hard to
Yeah.
concentrate. No, we are playing Chelsea again. We're playing
All
them.
right, so tough games to come, and so that bigger tests and all of that. But Spurs have got horrendous injury problems. Kane's not back till mid-March. He won't be fit and probably until April. Dele Alli's injured. Son's off at the Asia Games. They've got a pretty thin squad. Arsenal are going to be Arsenal and blow it, aren't they? So there's plenty of reasons to believe that United can chase down third.
I mean, it looks like
third is nowhere. I know,
but it looks like Higuain is going to sign for Chelsea.
I think that's a big mistake. I think he's well over his peak.
I mean, well, okay, maybe he's well over his peak, but he's a substantial upgrade on Morata or Giroud, no? And playing Hazard as a false nine is not even slightly working.
They need the goals for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, if maybe he's past his prime and he won't do anything, that'd be delightful. But perhaps
8 goals this season. I mean, it's all right.
I think that's what all our top scorers have got, but it's just there's like 4 different players that have got 8 goals, I think.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, he's experienced, never played in England. It's going to be a different type of football. Does he want to play up front on his own? Has done throughout his career. Sometimes not. I would be really surprised if he comes in and scores a ton of goals, but we'll see.
Good. To answer Barry's question, though, I think it's absolutely ridiculous to suggest that Poch bottled it, given that what he actually did was react to the way the game was going, dramatically change it in his team's favour tactically, and then witness his star striker miss a bunch of chances that he probably should have buried.
Fair enough. Let's move on. Lucas_M United. Friend of the show, he writes in a lot. How many more players do we need this summer to make United great again? #Muga.
You just like the hashtag, didn't you?
I do.
I don't even know how to answer this question. We need a right back, probably. We definitely need. We almost certainly need a centre back, and then one more defensive midfielder, and then I'm happy. Like if we somehow got those positions all in, I'd be happy. But I suspect we're not going to buy a defensive midfielder. I suspect it's another season of Nemanja Matic next season.
Yeah, really do need that defensive midfielder. Could do with it right now.
I mean, people say we need a right winger. I'm not sure that that's something we desperately need, because I think we fill that gap in pretty well. I think it's pretty rare that the problem with United's performance is like, we didn't have a right winger, compared to like the impact of our flaky centre backs and the lack of defensive midfielder, of course,
and a right back.
Yeah, although like Young's been great in this period of the season, but obviously he's not. He's not an elite right back, is he?
No, and he's 33 years old, so we need another one. A fair amount of players to move on. Talk this week that Fellaini may be going this transfer window, and Darmian may well as well.
There's always talk that Fellaini might be going in this transfer window, and he never goes. I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, it has been notable how little he's played. I don't know if he's injured or whatever, but he hasn't.
He's just not the kind of player that fits into this, rapid team and fast passing, and he just doesn't. Anyway, on a theme, Tish at Tishang says, "How much deadwood could a woodwood chuck if a woodwood could chuck deadwood?" Several players, I'd say.
That is a lovely, lovely callback as well. That is like a 6 or 7 year callback, I think, to a Rankcast question from a long, long time ago. I reckon that we could get away with getting rid of Valencia, Fellaini, Jones. Anyone else that I've forgotten there?
Valencia's definitely going to go. Jones is a liability, but then so is Smalling. But
Smalling's got is like Smalling 2022, so he's not going anywhere.
True.
So I think realistically, if we got rid of Valencia, Fellaini, and Jones, I'd be really happy with that. And if somehow we miraculously got rid of, I think he's not dead wood, but I also think there's every chance Romelu Lukaku's going to go somewhere in the summer. He should, for his own sake, and I think it would probably be, I don't know, it's a really difficult one, but I kind of think United kind of need to do that in a way. Because you kind of, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Romelu Lukaku should be moved on in the summer?
Look, I think if a fit and informed Romelu Lukaku and a confident Lukaku is in the team, he probably scores 30 goals a season. Does he fit into the style of play that Ole wants to play? Probably not. You know, he does tend to slow the game down, much as Mata and Fellaini do. We don't know that Ole's going to be the manager, though, so certainly nothing's going to happen this window, and we'll see where we are in the summer.
No, I meant in the summer, really. Like if you were calling it, do you think that Romelu Lukaku will be a United player at the end of the summer 2019 transfer window?
Yeah, probably. For a couple of reasons, well, mainly financial. United are going to want quite a return on that £75 million fee, and he earns really high wages compared to most of the rest of European football.
Yeah,
save for the elite clubs, and I don't think he's going to go to another elite club. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, but your guess is he'll still be United. That'd be my guess too. But I think there's interesting times ahead there because there's no way he should be getting in the side ahead of Marcus Rashford.
No. Hermiston says, if we sign Poch, will Spurs sign Ole? How would that feel?
Oh no!
Interesting thought experiment, that one.
I am so heavily on the hype train right now that the idea of anyone other than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managing Manchester United next season is legitimately heartbreaking to me.
Eni Aloku, the England Juventus striker, wrote a piece in the Guardian saying, "Look, slow down a minute with the, it's one thing." Having a manager who helps the players feel good and they're getting a bump out of that is very another one saying, is this the manager who will devise the system that will win us the European Cup? And she has a point. You know, can we extrapolate from what we have seen from the last 7 games that United could win the European Cup under Ole? I don't know. I don't know that we could under Poch, although I have a greater sense of what he can achieve with his skills than I do about Ole, who has done a very specific job over the last couple of months.
I know that that's true, but I do think the one thing that Ole's got, right, is he's been a manager for a long time now, and he was a very, very successful manager at Molde. To win the league twice in his first 2 seasons, then comes back to Cardiff. It's a kind of a disaster. Molde fall right off a cliff. Solskjaer comes back, finishes 6th, then 5th, then 2nd, then 2nd. So he's kind of rebuilt that team again, and now they're back competing with Rosenborg at the top of the Norwegian league. Now, I know that's not the same as winning the Champions League, obviously. But the thing about it's different that a manager that can make a team feel good is different than a manager that can devise the system to win the Champions League. That's true. But I'm not entirely convinced that the answer to the question, is Ole Solskjaer the manager who can design a system that wins United the Champions League? I'm genuinely not convinced that the answer to that question is no. I think the answer to that question is, I think he might be, you know. So that's where I'm at anyway.
All right, here's another one for you. @_Taylor Ben says, I've got the slightest feeling Mourinho may have been holding Paul Pogba back. Am I mad?
I love Ben. How you doing, Ben? Yeah, obviously.
Quite a few questions about McTominay. I think we've covered that one. How strange does it feel, asks Duncan Mitchell, that United are actually likeable at the moment?
You see, this is the thing. The players have been likeable for so long to me. This crop of players, I've liked them for a long time, and yeah, it's brilliant. It's just brilliant.
It is. Nicholas Lotter says, back Solskjaer this window with a centre-back to help him get us into the top 4 or wait for a permanent manager? Well, you'd obviously say back him because he's going to be the permanent manager. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to spend, if it's the top centre-back, and it's going to be a hefty purchase, whatever to be an upgrade. And even on Phil Jones, it's still going to spend. It's still going to be a lot of money. Still going to be a lot of money. You don't want to be in a situation where that lot of money isn't liked by the new manager. Even if you believe Mourinho that Mourinho said this thing about, well, in Ferguson's time, no player was more important than the club. Look at him, he threw Beckham out of the club, and this ignoring completely Ferguson's 13 titles had bought him quite a bank of credit. But anyway, minor quibble with that one. And so, like, even if you believe that United could get to a situation where the new manager had enough clout to do that, it would put him in an awfully awkward position.
But the thing is, presumably we're not talking about like taking a punt on someone some United scout somewhere thinks is possibly going to make it, but we're talking about a Koulibaly or something along those lines of like absolutely top level proven. Who's gonna be bought that Solskjaer would benefit from, that the next manager's going to go, I think he's rubbish,
True, but there's a couple of assumptions in there that managers aren't fickle about players, because they bloody are. And two, that Edward would get the right player because he thinks he's identifying transfer targets. A couple of questions. How good does it feel? Says Luke. Dissect MUFC. Who's at the wheel? Says Abik Patel.
She feels so good. She feels so good. And when we were playing so well in the first half and everyone was singing that chant and everyone's singing, how good does it feel? Tell me, how good does it feel? The answer really is, it feels absolutely amazing in a really like meaningful and moving way. It feels mint. Like, it's so good. It's nothing, right? This is a team. We're a team that's, how many, both you and I watched all 13 of those championship wins. We've won 2 Champions Leagues in our lifetime. We won the Europa League, and we've won the Cup Winners' Cup, and we've had loads of amazing FA Cup multiple times and stuff. But just for sheer feel-good factor, it feels really, really, really good.
Friend of the show, Chris Etchingham, says, would you take Ollie winning every league game until the end of the season if it meant Liverpool winning the league as a trade-off? Hang on a minute. If we win every league game until the end of the season, are we not in for a shout on the title?
I don't think we are. Chris just wants us to talk about Liverpool, and I don't want to, so I refuse to answer.
Let's talk about, if we win every league game until the end of the season, will Mo Salah stop diving?
And will Liverpool stop blatantly match fixing?
Oh my
Honestly.
God. They're pretty lucky against Brighton. Against Palace. I mean, Salah didn't dive to get a penalty this time, but the Palace keeper chucked one in his own net.
Absolutely disgraceful.
It's hard to chuck it in his own net from that angle, but he managed it. I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah.
I checked that guy's bank account. If we win every game from now until the end of the season, we get another 45 points and put us on 89. Probably wouldn't be enough to win the league in this year, but it'd win the league in quite a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. But probably not this one.
Not going to happen this year.
And also, we're probably not good. I only say probably. We're probably not going to win every game between now and the end of the season. Although it's hard to imagine anything other than a sweet, sweet W when United take the field.
Creamfield Twinkie says, can you make an 11 out of our Deadwood, a.k.a. Deadwood FC, and where would they finish in the league? Good question, this one. I don't think we've got enough Deadwood to make a proper 11, but we could go a second string. Who is second choice in every position, and how good are they?
All right, so we're trying to pick the worst possible 11 out of United's squad.
Oh, is that the worst possible 11?
Yeah, but with the players in their rightful position.
Players in their rightful position have to be part of the first team squad. No youthies to fill it out.
No. So Lee Grant is worse than Sergio Romero, even though I love you.
Sergio Romero is better than most of the goalkeepers in the division.
Yeah, mad respect for Lee Grant.
Flappy Serge has improved a lot.
Honestly, he should go and be someone's first choice goalkeeper. I do not know what he's doing, but anyway, it's good that he doesn't.
I'm going to guess he's got a good wage.
Antonio Valencia at right back. I
Yeah.
guess,
Well,
I
is
guess,
he? No, I don't know. Damian's there. He's going to give him a run for his money.
No, we played Darmian at left back because
Oh.
he's played a lot of left back.
Yeah, he's played a lot, and that's
we haven't
painful.
got a Deadwood left back.
The dynamic duo is Smalling and Jones in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly harsh to call them Deadwood, but they're a problem. Centre of the park, I guess. I'm sorry about this, but your boy Scott McTominay's probably got to be there alongside Marouane Fellaini in a 2.
Dynamic.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've got any
Forward Deadwood. Well, there's Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, Alexis Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku. But he's not Deadwood really, but he's just not up to the Martial Rashford
we're 2
standards.
players short.
Yeah, so that's not far off. So we can make a Deadwood. No, they've had 2 men sent off. Alexis Sanchez is definitely captain of that team.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, Antonio Valencia is captain.
Oh, of
given
course.
that he's our actual captain and he's the deadest of the Deadwood.
Fill it out with another couple, and look, that team would still finish in mid-table.
Would it?
Yeah, it
With
would.
Lee Grant behind Smalling and Jones?
Yeah.
And Alexis Sanchez up front. that team would get relegated because there's only 9 players.
No. You fill it out with
It's
11.
McTominay and Fellaini in the centre of midfield in protecting Smalling and Jones and Grant.
Good stuff.
With Antonio Valencia at right back, that team is getting super relegated.
Okay. You've got time on your hands. You go plug that into Championship Manager. Run that season.
I love the way...
Use the editor.
I do not have time on my hands.
Nate Dunning says, who would you put in a team of past players that are currently managers? Giggsy and Ollie, surely. Who else?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, on a lot of successes on the management front.
But
plenty of
as
Steve
players.
Bruce, he's still a manager, and he just got sacked by Villa, but, he still counts. Have we got any goalkeepers? Jim Leighton never took up managing, did he?
No. I don't...
Tony Coton's a coach. Does he count? A coach.
Yeah. Van der Sar's director of football.
Van der Sar, that counts.
Yeah, so we'll have Van der Sar.
Pretty good there. Any United right backs? Paul Pogba never went into coach. He went into sniping at Gary Neville. Sorry, Gary Neville.
By the way,
he was manager for like 5 games.
You just called Paul Parker Paul Pogba, I think.
I did.
Gary Neville managed, so he plays at right back. Phil Neville at left back.
Not a manager. Oh, he's a manager. God, I'm having a mare here. Yeah, he's definitely a manager. Yeah.
So Steve Bruce alongside. Did Mike Phelan ever play centre back?
Nah, midfielder.
Okay. Well, then in that case, he can partner. Brian Robson and more Roy Keane in the centre of midfield.
With Giggsy to the left.
Yeah.
Nicky Butt could be in there. I mean, he's coached it. He's managed at under 18 level.
But I don't think Nicky Butt, as within real life, is not going to get in the side ahead of Roy Keane.
No, he's not. He's not. But maybe a 3 in midfield with 3 up front.
Okay, yeah. So up front, you've got. But that means you're playing Giggs up front. So Giggs.
Oh, inside left.
Mark Hughes. Oh yeah, what a player! Never forget what a good footballer Mark Hughes was, just because of everything that's happened since.
Just because he's a bitter man.
I mean, Bobby Charlton, I think, had one very brief spell at management. It's a difficult one, unless we've forgotten someone really obvious, which we probably have. But anyway, that'll do. We got to 10. And it's 10 with Roy Keane in it is like 11, so...
Henneberg went into management, didn't he?
Eric Cantona's managed at beach football teams, so he can play up front.
Lauren Blanc has been a manager as well.
Banned for racism and homophobia and sexism.
I don't think he was a homophobe, was he?
No,
if he's holding the racist views, he's probably a homophobe too.
I mean, I stopped. I said it, but I didn't mean to say it. I meant to say sexism.
Anyway, pretty good team.
Really good team. I mean, I'm not sure it's a coherent 11, but it's got Brian Robson and Roy Keane at the heart of midfield, so it's fine.
All right, plenty of questions there. Shall we move on to a preview of United's upcoming 8th victory in a row, this time over Arsenal?
So we are probably not going to do a podcast between Arsenal and Burnley, and I feel like my preview for the Burnley game is, apart from just briefly noting that Burnley have actually been playing much better than their results would suggest. Or certainly creating a lot more chances than their results would suggest recently, which is hilarious given that last season they basically
Did the opposite.
outperformed every possible data point by a million billion miles.
They've been beating teams around them though, so they beat Huddersfield, they beat Fulham.
Yeah.
So. Decent draw with Watford at the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. They're not going to go down, but I think we'll just have too much firepower for them, and that's kind of reductive. But it was the case against Brighton. I think it will be the case against Burnley. But before
you're going to complain about us being reductive over match previews,
but let's try and be.
They could still go down. I mean, they're only 3 points ahead of the relegation zone.
I just think they're better and playing better than a lot of those other teams.
I mean, here's a prediction, a bold one. Huddersfield, Fulham and Cardiff, the 3 worst teams in the division by miles, are going to go down.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty fair representation. Anyway, so let's do something that's the sort of slightly less reductive preview of the Arsenal game. I mean, you said Arsenal are kind of reborn now thanks to that victory over Chelsea, but probably worth pointing out that the immediate predecessor to that game saw them lose to West Ham United at West Ham.
Yeah, not absolutely smashed by Liverpool a couple of weeks ago.
They lost to Southampton in the middle of December. Like, basically, all their fans hate Emery as far as I can work out. Chelsea were just completely dreadful at the weekend. Just so thoroughly Van Halen.
They really were. And Sarri then took it upon himself to just lambast all the players and said it's very hard to motivate them. And mate, your job.
I mean, it is his job. And
it is.
This was thoroughly Mourinho-esque, obviously. But, I mean, he has got a point vis-a-vis that this particular Chelsea squad's last 5 years, which has been a story of them doing all right and then going, oh, can't be bothered anymore, don't like it.
Michelangelo's painting the Sistine Chapel. He's like, I don't like the brushes, and the paint's not much cop either.
No, but you're always saying this is a Chelsea side that relentlessly cheat their manager.
Yeah. Well, they certainly cheated Jose Mourinho, but then again, we saw quite what motivates players to do that.
But they cheated Conte as well. I mean, and that is also completely understandable. But, anyway.
I don't know the inside of Chelsea and what he's like. I mean, maybe he's an sort of in-kind manager and they've grown tired of him already. I mean, it's very quick, isn't it? Since they had a very good start to the season, were playing very nice football, and Jorginho was supposed to have reinvented football yet again. I mean, there's an interesting line of thinking about Jorginho, which is, or maybe this is more about the press in this country latching on to the next shiny thing, and then we work out that, he makes a lot of passes, but what does he do with them? One, and me, he's slow. I mean, just run past him. Can't pass the ball when he can't see it.
I mean, Arsenal were very physical against Chelsea in terms of pressing and
and really noticeable that was.
So I guess they'll try and do that to us too, which could be quite effective because I'm not sure how press resistant Nemanja Matic is, and if United don't get their kind of pass and move game out of midfield right, that could get a little bit ugly because even though Arsenal have got the softest of soft underbellies, they have got an awful lot of talent going forward in Lacazette and Aubameyang. Like that Lacazette goal was an absolute peach of a goal.
Yeah, I mean he's having a decent season, isn't he? And perhaps maybe he's better than many people around Europe thought. I mean, he was everyone's second choice, wasn't he, a couple of years ago? So he's I don't know how many goals he got this season. I mean, he's maybe he's up to 10. I'm not sure, but he's doing all right. And Aubameyang has got 14. So there you go. They definitely could cause us some problems. I do agree about the pressing. It's not just in midfield though. It's our back four. They've got to move the ball out of the back four neat and tidily. One thing I would say though is United are quite prepared to go direct if necessary under Ole, and it might be a good tactic actually. to get at those centre backs. Although they both played pretty well at the weekend, I'd say. Arsenal centre backs. It hasn't always been the case, has it? So I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. I think it should be a really good game. I don't think United have shown any hint of wanting to shut games down under Ole. They're going to go for it, much like they did against Spurs at Wembley, which should lead us to a really exciting cup tie.
Yeah, it absolutely should. And I wonder whether the two managers will take a different approach in terms of prioritisation, because they're obviously in almost identical positions, except Solskjaer's got the kind of free hit of being a caretaker manager. But like in the league, we're 2 or 3 goals separated, chasing the exact same 4th place. I mean, I'd be very, very surprised if United do anything other than play their absolute full strength team with Burnley at home being the subsequent fixture. I mean, obviously Burnley at home is pretty hot off the back of this, because I think it's on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But it's still.
But it's at home. It's a less intense game. Yeah, I mean, look, he's got a shot at a trophy here. It's United's best shot at a trophy. I don't think you turn that down.
Arsenal's next game after us is at home against Cardiff. So really, almost identical position in the league, and almost identical fixtures up after this game. So I think we're going to see both sides' best side.
And the tactical piece is interesting as well, because Arsenal played Diamond at the weekend, and it worked for them, I'd say. I mean, Ramsey came off with 20-30 minutes to go or something like that, and it sort of altered the shape. But they're pretty determined to play 2 up front. How does that impact how United are going to play? Are they going to go 1v1? Do they sit another player in the middle there and pack midfield a bit? Do they take the gamble like they did against Spurs and go with fewer men in midfield but put pressure on the opposing defence? I don't think you're going to pull Koscielny and Socrates around quite as much, but they're not quick, either of them. So pace could be a factor. Especially on the break, the transition could be really effective for United.
I wonder if he'll play Lingard as false 9 again, or whether he'll say, well, actually, given that we're not going to pull them around, play Lingard, but kind of have him like hassle the base of the diamond, basically, to kind of try and create turnovers in that way.
Well, Xhaka's having a good season, isn't he? And Torreira looks like a terrific player, and Guendouzi is adapted to the Premier League pretty quickly.
I mean, very up and down. Guendouzi has been, as you'd expect from a player that young, but Torreira. Although Torreira was world-class dreadful against Liverpool, but you'd imagine this game will be very different. I mean, the atmosphere is going to be amazing, isn't it? Because although United's allocation is kind of disgracefully low, in fact, given that I think smaller teams get something like 10,000 at the Emirates, and Arsenal keep cutting the big teams down to somewhere around 5,000.
Using safety as a concern. Yeah. Economics, I think, is the term.
Well, is it economics, or is it actually about or is it, you saying it's economics because they can sell more home tickets at a higher price? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and they have to pay for less policing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see. I wondered whether it's actually they're trying not to weight the atmosphere in the stadium too heavily against their side, because 10,000 away United supporters, you're not going to hear any Arsenal fans, are you? For that's going to feel like
I do feel like this is a trend the FA and the Premier League should get involved in. This is what makes football in England special. The culture of away. So you don't get it in Spain. I've been to lots of matches in Spain. You get about 300 away fans, even for Barcelona against Real Madrid at Camp Nou.
And the FA Cup's particularly special because you get like whole ends of away fans.
Right. I mean, it always used to be 25% of the ground was away fans, and it was supposed to be even more than the 9 or 10% you get in the league.
Yeah, this is amazing, but it feels like a different world now, because there's obviously many fewer away fans in the league than there used to be, aren't there? But yeah, anyway, there's going to be a ton of United fans in that ground, home and away ends, I'm sure. And Friday night under the lights, really, really big game, and I mean, this is complete gambler's fallacy, right? This is because it's come up red over and over again. You're kind of expecting it to come up black eventually. And we've won, you win every game. Presumably at some point there comes a game that we don't win. Could it be this one? Is this the game that's going to end the incredible winning streak?
Well, it could be, and Arsenal certainly have the assets to cause United problems. They are a good side. Yes, they've had a up and down season, but they did have that long unbeaten run before. They won 7 in the league on the spin at one stage. Fair warning, it can go wrong after 7 wins in a row. But they're not in a great position. We're putting them under pressure in the league, and not everyone loves Emery.
Yeah, because even when they were winning loads of games, I haven't seen that much of it, but all I've heard about it is that they weren't playing well, and that's from Arsenal fans as much as non-Arsenal fans. So it's going to be fascinating.
To be fair, they haven't really played well for about 20 years.
Absolutely. And we've just beaten Spurs away, and Spurs are a much better side than Arsenal. So, that tells some sort of story. And I guess that the only thing to fear really is a return to the kind of drop off after the hour mark that we've seen in the last 2 games. Because, one of the features of Arsenal's good run was that they played very well in a lot of second halves. And they've got a lot of running and a lot of athleticism in that side. So we can't afford to drop off in intensity in this game, I would say, unless we're hoping for another De Gea masterclass. And although Kane is obviously better than Lacazette and Aubameyang, he wasn't on form that day. And if either of those two are in form from a finishing perspective, then they're likely to put the ball a little bit further away from Dave and make him have to work a bit harder for those saves.
He loves the Emirates, though, doesn't he?
He does. He absolutely does. And so do United. So, I find it hard to be... I'm nervous about this one, but not terrified by it.
All right, predictions for this week's games?
Oh, I don't want to do it. 1-0 win to United at the Emirates.
Yes. It's going to be more goals than that. It's going to be a scorcher. I'm going to 3-2 victory for United.
All right, lovely. I'll take that.
In extra time. Do we get extra time yet?
Who knows?
Can't remember. I don't even know we get replays anymore.
I think they banned them. I think they were banned. And then home to Burnley. 3-0. You know what? Got to come back good at some point. So after only winning the last 2 games by 1 goal, got to predict at least 1-3-0 win this week.
I'm going to say 2-0 to United, whatever.
All right. Sounds
very good.
So thank you for listening, and we'll be back with another one of these after the Burnley game next week.
All right. Well, you can catch me on Twitter. You can catch Paul on no social media at all, except for maybe Instagram.
I've got an Instagram account.
Have you? Very good. All right. You can drop us a review at iTunes so others can find the show, and we'll see you in a week's time.
The Rantcast is, as always, brought to you by the good people that choose to back us at patreon.com/Rantcast. If you back us at $5 a month plus VAT, I think it is, then you get access to some bonus content. And this week we talked about young players that we got super excited about while they were coming through the academy. That team,
No.
But Pogba, Ryan Tunnicliffe, and especially, and I mean especially, Ravel Morrison, the one that got away out of all of them.
I swear when I'm 90 and I've got great-grandkids, I'll be like, Ravel. He was the one.
You were the chosen one.
And sadly, Ravel will be not remembered as a great professional footballer, I guess.
It's just bananas, isn't it? It's just how he's not an all-time legend. Such a shame. And it is hard to be a professional footballer. It's really hard. It shouldn't be assumed that talent will get you there, obviously. Just watching Ravel glide with the ball, it just seemed impossible. We'd heard about so many kind of Ferguson man management triumphs by that point that it seemed impossible that he wouldn't be able to pull it off once again.
Yeah, no, I know. And And as we've spoken about on this podcast before, Fergie was the last to admit that Ravel was a lost cause. For good reason. Just so beautiful to watch. Just floating around. He could do anything with a ball. Anything.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.